Let's start your journey before arriving Australia. So I would like to know, before you left home, how did you actually picture life abroad?
I feel like I was very wrong because my perception of the West has often come from Hollywood. So nothing was as I imagined. I was expecting it to be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a very drastic change for me to move to Australia. Very different from what I expected, honestly.
They say going to a new country, building a global mindset is not something that you ever think that you want to pack in your suitcase. It is something that you really build, right? So was your mindset ready before you boarded the plane, or did you have to grow it on the ground?
Absolutely not. I was not prepared for what I've seen and dealt with.
So how did you find the quest?
It was really interesting when I went through the responses that I could answer. And I just found a lot of things that I did not even think about. I've been here for so long, but I still find new challenges, new difficulties. So, of course, ongoing preparation is definitely key.
Yeah, because we also realize that things are, it's nothing special, nothing new. It's just that something that's always been there in your blind spot. And if you somehow just knew about, then it's easy. If you think there is a ghost, you're scared, right? But if you can just find it and figure it out, then you realize, oh, it's actually wasn't a ghost at all. It was just something that, a made up story or something in my thoughts more than actually in reality, only if you were aware of it. And also on time, because I think a lot of students learn and get these things in a hard way. If they just received it earlier in their journey, that will save so much of time and effort. The way some slangs work, when someone is asking you in Australia, "Oh, how are you doing?" And in the beginning, I used to really explain myself. I thought it's a little question for me. So I would tell how was actually my day, but then realized that it is the way of speaking. It's not somebody just asking me how I am. They're not asking whole story.
Because when I first came to Australia, I struggled a bit with connecting with classmates because so many different things. We all have different backgrounds in our classes. So definitely a cultural communication barrier that I faced and I still face today. But in our culture, if we ask you, oh, how are you? Then we just go on and on.
And it is a constant work, right? There's no level where you say, "Oh, now I know everything." No, we can't, because there's so many cultures in Australia. There's so much to learn all the time that this is something we need a formula. We don't need to know everything, but if we knew really how to manage these differences, that would make so much of a difference. Before coming, you would have worked really hard, like all the other students do. You must have worked hard to really select which uni to go, which course to study, how to apply for admission, how you must apply for visa. Do you think you really arrived with a clear goal? Did you really arrive with a suitcase and all the logistics of it?
My goal in the start was just pretty simple go there, get the degree, get out, or maybe stay. But I had a lot of great advice, especially my mother, all my family members.
Yeah.
And with the visa situation, I got very lucky because VIC helped out a lot. I had a checklist before I came that I'm going to do these
Mm,
things to
mm.
settle in. But there's just so much to life that happens. And the checklist was met eventually. But
Eventually,
it
yeah.
took me a long time. I was very lucky that I had friends and family in Australia as well that have helped me through these things. So many people that have been here for me. My expectations was just, oh well, I'm gonna go there, get the degree, get a job. But life does not work that way. Things
Yeah,
happen.
things happen. Everyone else is a resource for you. Ultimately, it's your journey. You are the one who has to literally do it for yourself. It's like running a marathon. People can tell you how to do it. People can buy things for you. They give you the gears. They can cheer you up. But the actual run, you have to do it. So I just feel that studying abroad is very similar to that. It will need a lot of physical and mental energy. And if you had the stamina and advanced preparation, the chances are you will do well in a marathon. And if you just thought that, oh yeah, it's just a run, sounds easy, right? It's everyone can run. Running is easy. But running in general and running a marathon is different. In terms of your academic shock, like what was the biggest shock of your first semester? Was it the expectation around the critical thinking, or did you find the group assignments a bit tricky, or was it the referencing that was complicated?
My first day of class, we discovered something called Canvas, which is used in some of the prominent universities, and I had no idea. And my tutors had to tell me, You're supposed to read something before you come to class, whereas my expectations are, oh, we go to class, we learn something, and then
Yeah.
we get homework.
Yeah.
And then there's like, oh, there is some pre-class work that you need to do. And same thing with referencing. Referencing, I feel like was a bit easier for me because I could just Google how to do it.
Yeah.
That was easier, but of course, group projects as well. So some people have that mindset, oh, we just want to pass. Some people have that mindset, oh, now we want an HD, which is like the highest grade.
The highest grade.
I want to work as hard as I can, but some of the groups that I first worked with were just like, yeah, we just need to pass this class so that we can move on to another class. I was like, so
Mm.
definitely different expectations with different people as well,
Yeah.
which is a little uncommon in India because I feel like we're all striving for better marks. Like where
Yeah.
I grew up, we all want like 90%
Yeah.
or more than that. I just learned this saying when I first came to Swinburne. It was P's get degrees. So P's means passes, which kind
Get
of makes
degrees.
sense.
Okay, I like that.
Kind of makes
Please.
sense that if you want to get your degree, then you just need to pass everything. So there's that sort of mentality that exists here.
Degree alone does not get you what you're here for, right? Degree is important,
Exactly.
but that's not what you're after. So you're saying sometimes the aim of learning is missing, right? I really request the students to always remember that you are here for overseas education and you are here to learn. So never try to show off and perform. Like you're not here for performance, right? Your performance will come later, but at the moment the only reason you are here and the only reason you're paying so much money to study overseas is to learn. So focus on learning. Like make mistakes, learn. Don't just try to be perfect. But then sometimes it shows up because in some cultures we know how important is to get the good grades and look that I'm the brightest and the smartest in the class through academic performance. There is a real difference. I know people who have got excellent grades and still don't understand the subject so well. And I know people who haven't got that grade, but they really know whatever they learned. So as you say, the P's get the degrees. I think that's a mindset we need to talk about with students as well, because what you're here for is not just a degree, but degree is something that can lead. If you really learned, only then. I think some students, although they have a good English, they still feel that they're not great at it. And they feel like, oh, I don't know, even though they know everything, they doubt themselves. So do you remember what was your 2 a.m. panic like? Did you have one?
I was gonna do it in my native, but it's always been about the assignments. I have this assignment due tomorrow. There's been some times where I've finished work at 10:30 p.m. and I have the deadline at 12, so I just type it up furiously at my workplace as well. It's definitely panicking a lot about assignments, but I always post about my assignments when I'm done. Like the ones that I get done quickly, I'm like, thank God, finally done with it. Hip hip hooray. Like I'm always celebrating that I got through it because I used to struggle a lot with assignments earlier as well because I have a habit of procrastinating, which is a very bad habit to have. And whenever I was getting my assignments done, I was like, thank God, another one done finally. And I would post that on my Instagram that this was giving me so much stress that it's a win that I've finally completed it and I can sleep peacefully.
But this is something not very common. I don't see many students sharing their vulnerabilities or sharing the actual study stuff. And this is very common, and that syndrome of living a happy life abroad. It is not just fun, as you said, you saw life abroad through Hollywood and that means everything is awesome without doing the hard work, right? The other aspect is that, I see that time, money, social life, and study, right? You are expected to have all four. But can you actually manage all four at once? Someone told me that this international student life is like spinning four plates at once.
Definitely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even before our meeting, I was working on another assignment that I have due next week. But yeah, it's a very difficult challenge because you need to prioritize your time. Work has always been a priority because paying the rent, paying the bills, and then study, of course, because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And then whatever little I have goes towards my social life. Very sad, but I try to engage with my peers as well as other colleagues that I have at work. So work keeps me sane as well in terms of my social life because I spend a lot of time working and I just have the greatest colleagues. So yeah, it's a challenge. It's
Yeah.
definitely a challenge.
Yeah. So any tip you would like to share with students how to really stay sane with studies, social life, time, and money, because it's a constant juggle. Every week for international students is the same. Like you have to manage time, money, life, and study, and that's constant. And there will be one or two plates which will wobble, right? So which plates will wobble first, you have no idea, because it depends where you are in the journey and how you're managing.
Something that I do is I always prioritize myself. Like if I'm thinking, I think I've done this for far too long, even with work as well, if I feel too burnt out, I always end up canceling or maybe just heading off, getting off work early. So definitely prioritize yourself, because when you prioritize yourself, you will see what needs your attention, what's important.
Okay.
Like there's been instances where I've canceled plans with my friends because work came up,
Yeah.
which is sometimes good to do because you need the money. But sometimes I have cancelled work because I need to see my friends. It's been far too long. So definitely trust yourself. The more you do it, the more you learn. I feel like people have their own priorities. I just feel like you know yourself much better than anyone
Right.
else.
Yeah.
So definitely listen to yourself when your body is telling you, maybe I should not work this week, or maybe I should not go out this week.
I'm so glad, Alex, you said that, because there is a research done last year by Bupa where the student well-being was assessed, and in that research, there are multiple instances where international students, including the migrants, really don't really plan or prioritize the recreation or taking off from work for their own well-being. And looking after yourself is very important when you're in a new country. Sometimes, of course, there is a pressure of study and there is also a pressure to have money. But then it's impossible to have everything together. So there is a constant prioritization. You have to see, okay, when is your study takes over your work, and you really prioritize your recreation or well-being instead of just continuously working or studying, because you cannot do that. It's not sustainable. And many students don't rest, don't prioritize the well-being, and then they're exhausted, and that impacts their studies and also has an impact on their money as well, I would say, because if there's no time for you to think and plan, you might keep on doing the same job without any learning, without any progression in that job. So because you've already completed your bachelor's degree in Australia, was there a moment midway through your studies where you kind of stopped and asked yourself, am I actually on track? How am I performing? And did you have a really honest conversation with yourself?
Definitely, because when I first started my degree, I had a vague idea of where I wanted to go.
Mm.
And middle of my degree, I was just thinking, I don't think maybe I'm gonna get there, because I want to be a publicist in Hollywood, hopefully, big dreams. But
Yeah.
during my degree, I just realized that I think I'm more suited towards events management, because I was doing a lot of volunteering in events, and I was part of student clubs as well. So there was certainly a pivot where I saw myself just saying, maybe the publicist thing is not for me. Maybe I want to work behind the scenes, manage events, that kind of thing. So I definitely had that wake up call. Even towards the end of my degree, when I was thinking, what am I going to do now that I am done? I had a big panic moment about it. And of course, job opportunities, looking for job opportunities is another struggle that
Yeah.
students have to undertake.
I see that very common among local students. And of course, it happens with international students too. But then international students feel the pressure more than the local students because, of course, they're staying away, they're paying a lot of money, they're making the decision on their own. But majority of the students, when they are in their first year of studies, they come with certain mindset and certain expectations. Even the programs are designed in a way so that you explore your options. So you might have thought that, oh, this is what I want to do. But after you spend time in the program, you realize, oh, maybe I like that, but I think I like the other one more. This is another thing that I really think that students should be taking their own decisions without being too much influenced, because once you start doing things like what you want to do, of course, that changes your trajectory for the good. Like you now know what you want, and you will be doing that so much better than if you continue doing what you're not sure about. So this is something like we work so much with students on helping them to assess midway their studies, to really see that are they still liking it, are they on track, is it still aligned with the aim that they want to achieve towards the end of the program. And for that they need to pay attention, mostly reflect on themselves, that okay, am I still under any sort of influence, because there's a lot of cost they are paying to really be in the program. Now let's talk about a little bit about communication. Any point, or at what point did you realize that Speaking good English and communicating confidently in an Australian classroom are two completely different things.
I think that was very early on because I just found that like I myself would consider to be a good English speaker, but then I had some classmates that did not speak English very well. But during presentations, some of our friends from other countries, they had much better study material than me at some points. And even presentation wise, they had better content while I was more confident with my speaking. No such thing as a language barrier because you can always work towards your language barrier. But I feel like the people who don't speak enough like well of English instead compensate with better work.
Quality.
Let their work speak for themselves rather than themselves speaking for it. And I found that in my case as well, where I might have been underestimated because English is my second language, and I know that, but I make up for it in different ways. I work hard.
I have noticed, especially in your first semester, students from different countries, someone has a really good English and good in everything, the other one is not. And everyone is still committed to the same outcome because they're in the same program, right? They all want to be successful, they all have to contribute better. And although we realize that, of course, if you speak English as a language really well, it's helpful, but that's not the only thing that's going to make you succeed in something. They have enough to be in the program, but they're not the experts. They still learn the program the same way as you do. And depending upon their ability to contribute, they can still be learning and maybe ahead. So, communication differences. What would you tell international students or someone who's coming from overseas? It's their first semester. What sort of communication can make them successful? And what sort of lack of confidence or even overconfidence can really kill the opportunities for them?
I think I would just like to say for that, practice makes perfect. Like even if you don't speak good English, I've been to so many programs where they have language speaking classes where you
Yeah.
go and you just practice the languages that you speak or that you want to speak. So I've tried my hands on Spanish, I've tried my hands on Korean, and I'm just practicing your English is definitely one thing and just engaging with the classwork as well. So I did not understand a lot of things when I first came here, like all the readings, so many different difficult words, and I had to go the extra mile and go through Google Translate and be like, okay, what does this mean? This was mentioned here. What does this mean? What would it mean in this context?
Yeah.
So definitely, even for people who are overconfident and who just assume, oh yeah, we'll get through it, we'll know everything.
Yeah.
I think we all need to take a good look at ourselves and work hard to achieve a good result.
Do you think Chat GPT, using that and using a lot is kind of impacting your, learning for language and also for the content?
Definitely. I mean, ChatGPT makes life easier if you're trying to understand the meaning of something. But of course, it has its downsides as well because ChatGPT, I think it's called AI mind fog, where it just randomly starts creating new things without any references, without anything. It would just give you the result that you want. But ChatGPT has made life easier so much for me. A lot of my readings are super long, so I just summarize them through ChatGPT as well, which
Yeah.
saves me a lot of time. It's not a good practice, but just to save myself some time.
If you use it, smartly and in a way where it's helpful, it is a tool for you. Every assignment has a different guideline, right? You already given instructions what you can use, what you cannot use. So it's not that AI is completely disregarded. It is allowed and it is allowed within a context, and you might be advised what to use and where to use and how to use. So using it properly is another smart thing. It is up to the student himself to really own their journey. It's a very easy way of doing the things now. But are you actually learning or not learning? I mean, I think that is one thing that student has to constantly review and reflect. Did I really learn this or did I just pass it? Now, because you've done one program already in Australia, and in our programs, we advocate for starting the programs strong. So, what I mean by that is that I believe in smart preparation. I really strongly believe that if students prepared before going overseas for how to think properly overseas or how to study or how to work or how to really live abroad, that will give them a good head start. What kind of head start you would have got if you really prepared more yourself, prepared your mindset, prepared more about your studies or created your own goals and plans for say first semester or first 3 months and really invested yourself? How would have that impacted your journey?
I felt like I had a plan when I first moved there. As I mentioned earlier, I had the checklist of things that I needed to do, but I don't think I thought it through properly per se, because there was just some things that I did not know that were just not on the checklist, like Canvas, as I mentioned earlier, and all the reading materials and everything. So if I was actually in contact with maybe a university student in Australia, that would have been really helpful, because the contacts that I had were not students.
Yeah.
They were just local Aussies, which is
Yeah.
very helpful. But
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely if I was in touch with someone who was an Australian student in
Yeah.
any other universities, maybe they could have told me, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you prepare for assignments this way, you prepare for your classes this way.
ChatGPT might still tell you, okay, you should do this, should that. But even then, it's not same as learning from someone, a human, and asking a question, right? That support goes a long, long way. Everyone talks about starting strong, and we all know how important is that. Like if you start strong, that will give you a confidence, that will give you a clarity, that will give you a hold on your journey. But then at the same time, finishing strong is again another skill, and it is a different stage of your journey. So in your case, how did you really make sure that you really cross the line at your best when you were graduating?
I worked really, really hard. My final year, I worked the hardest I ever did in my 3-year degree. And it was all the lessons that I learned in year one and year two.
Mm,
So I was very well prepared for all the assignments that I had to go through, and of course, all the classes and the material as well.
mm.
And the liberty that I had in Australia as well was that I could choose my own subjects.
Yeah.
So in my final year, I had a lot of electives left, and I played it very smart. I took first year classes so that I could get the best marks that I can. So it was easier for me as well. And it was less workload when compared to third year units, because third year units are really big. They're like 3,000 word essays, 5,000 word essays. And then I had a class that was like a 1,500 word essay max. So I planned it really smart, definitely my third year, which I did not do in my first year or my second year. So I was well prepared, very ready for my final year.
I have seen in final year student struggle again a lot, because when they are in final year, it's also a time to look for employment. It's time that they're graduating. It's time that they have to complete everything incomplete. So if they have got an extra unit to complete, they have to do that, and that might add additional pressure. But at the same time, a lot of students are also working that time when they're in final year. They're in a more stable work environment. They can work full time. So the pressure of not just completing their studies, but also getting something new. So it's not just the end of something, it's also a beginning of something big. So you did really well by planning smartly, and and taking the subjects ahead. That is a smart move. So could you take your final year subject in your second year?
Units were divided by year one, year two, year three, but I got very lucky in the regard that I had a lot of electives left to fill for my final year.
Mhm.
Because looking back at year two, I did not have a lot of electives. So
Yeah.
I was more focused on just my subject matter. But in my final year, I diverted myself to marketing, advertising, just so many interesting things that I actually really like. And I chose them first year because the first year ones are pretty basic. And it was very similar to my studies in India as well, one of the business classes. So I was just very lucky in that regard. But definitely, I took advice from my seniors as well. And they told me the exact same thing. Always save your electives as much as you can so that you can do them all through your final year. And then when you have the easy classes, you can also look for employment on the side, because you don't have the immense pressure of a final year unit on you. You rather have two final year units on top of you. So it was very easy for me to look for employment as well during that period of time, just networking and applying for jobs.
When we are doing our GES Smart Preparation Program or the Transition Coaching Program or the support throughout third semester, fourth semester, or in final year, that's what it's all about, because every semester has a different purpose, especially for international students. Your first semester is always about transition, whether you know it or you don't know it, because your transition is not just about the educational institution environment. You're not just going from school to college, you're actually going from one country to another. Because I have seen even local students face challenges, because for them also the university environment is different. They have to adjust. But then they still got the family, they're still in the same place, they know the language, they know the food, nothing else has changed, right? And then the second semester onwards is when you are expected to really have a grip on your academics. But as an international student, you're also supposed to be working and then looking after yourself. So by the second semester, you also want to be working part time. And how you manage that, it becomes bit tricky if you haven't had a good plan or a head start or a really good support. I think in terms of support, universities have good support as well. But I also believe that international students struggle to use those support services. Why do you think is that?
I also did not seek out university support services that they had because just always trying to play catch up with my assignments and rent money. So
Mm.
then you just don't end up realizing there's just so many things at university that are available to you. I mean, of course, the teachers tell you, oh yeah, you can go to a learning access peer mentor
Yeah.
that can help you with the assignments, but it's just that there's just so much going on in life that you just forget that there's other resources available for you
Yeah.
because it's always a matter of, oh, I need to get this done, oh, I need to go to a job. I just forget that there are resources available in the university.
Yeah.
And I found it very late because I did go to a learning mentor for a while in my second year, that
Mhm.
which helped out a lot because they have really good ideas about how to do assignments. They have really
Yeah.
good ideas about how to do a schedule because my
Mm.
schedule was just work study,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they taught me about maybe you should get a 9 to 5, study 9 to 5, and maybe give yourself 2 hours just to yourself, do something for yourself. So really grateful to the peer mentors that I had in Swinburne as well because they were also going through the same things that I was, and then they could guide me through it as well. But
Yeah.
it took me a lot of time to figure out the right resources for myself.
Even when I was working in TAFE, I realized that there's so much available to students. I have personally hand-holded some students, done the introductions, and yet I have seen students really not coming back and utilizing those services. And the challenges were like sometimes it's just the prioritization. They're already doing something and there's no time. They're working that time and the time doesn't match. But again, I would say that it's also happening because of the lack of planning too. Because if it was already in your structure that you think, okay, yes, if I'm stuck this, that's where I'm going to go for help. And that's how I'm going to ask. If that's in your calendar, if that's in your checklist, it would most likely it'll happen. But if it's not there, then it's something good to do, but I can't do because I have other priorities to manage. And student support services are great places for international students to go. Rapid fire questions. Just
All right.
go with your gut, whatever the first answer comes to your mind, and let's go. Okay. So, your first week in Australia in 3 words.
Blissful, quiet, very relaxing.
Okay. All right. Smart preparation, a GPS, or a superpower. Which one do you wish you had in your first semester?
Smart preparation for sure.
Okay. Biggest lie international students tell themselves before they fly. Finish this sentence. It'll be fine because.
I'm smart because I'm
Okay.
smart. I'll do it.
I'm smart. Yes. Okay. All right. The version of you that arrived versus the version of you right now. Same person or completely different human?
Completely different for sure.
Why?
I was very bright-eyed compared to me now, where I'm more calculative with my thoughts. I feel like I was more open to experiences then versus now
Mm.
because they were not happening then, but too many
Yeah.
things going on now.
Great. So you can manage a lot now.
Exactly.
Okay. So every international student deserves smart preparation. Okay. And a coaching led program that helps them start their journey really well. Who does that for them? Global education success.
Yes.
You've done really, really well. Really appreciate your time, Alex. This discussion, I'm sure, is going to help many students. I hope it's going to inspire them to take help early, to review and reflect their journeys as often as they can. Work on their communication. Realize that it's a never-ending process, and it's something that we all can develop and continue improving. And knowing language is great, but that's not everything in communication.